Welcome to the Cardiovascular Pulse, where we dive into medical breakthroughs, leading technology, and healthy lifestyles. Join us as we empower you on your journey to a healthier and stronger you.
Hi, listeners. Welcome to part 2 of the Food is Medicine podcast, where Dr. Satish Gadi, interventional cardiologist and vascular specialist at CIS in Baton Rouge and Prairieville, Louisiana, joins us to dive into a heart-healthy diet. Let's talk about lifestyle. Can exercising necessarily undo the effects of a poor diet, or do the two really need to go together, movement and diet?
Absolutely.
That earlier.
No.
Let's do it. Maybe.
Great question. Exercise is important. Absolutely. Exercise does not necessarily translate into weight loss. You cannot burn everything that you eat. If you're eating calorie-dense, processed, ultra-processed food, you cannot burn that. I assure you, you cannot burn that. Now, but exercise is important. Why? Because exercise improves cardiovascular fitness, reduces cardiovascular mortality. It could be something as simple as a brisk 30-minute walk every day for 7 days a week, or moderate intensity exercise for an hour a day for 5 days a week. One of those two forms of exercise is what has been shown to reduce cardiovascular mortality, improve cardiovascular fitness. But it doesn't, it's again your lifestyle. Go park at the furthest parking spot and walk. Take the stairs, not the elevator. It's okay, take your time going up the stairs, but take the stairs. So making activity an active part of your day-to-day life counts, and that is extremely important in improving your overall health. That is how there's a concept of having that 6,000 to 7,000 steps a day. People who clock at least 6,000 to 7,000 plus steps a day do much better than people who don't. We have studies to prove that.
Definitely. And these are just good things that if someone just wants to improve their heart health today, they can just start doing little simple things like that.
Eat less, move more.
Absolutely.
Sleep.
It all ties in together, as you said. Is there anything about diet or the whole health that anyone should know, or maybe even myths that are brought up that can be busted about diet and lifestyle?
Yeah, there's a lot of different concepts of diet, which we've honestly just scratched the surface. There's several other things about prebiotics and probiotics, incorporating, fermented foods, which are rich in prebiotics and probiotics, the Greek yogurt and so on and so forth. Another important thing that we have not touched upon is the source of your food. In this supermarket culture of today, the source of food is extremely important. The average chicken that you buy in the supermarket is extremely unhealthy. This comes from 1 million chickens stuffed inside the coop. And when you put, when there is overcrowding, even amongst human beings, what do you see? You see infections that spread, and so once there is infection, there is growth retardation. Well, we don't want the chicken to be, thin. We want the chicken to be fat and plumpy. So we now pump them with growth hormones and then antibiotics to treat the infection. And then now you have a chicken breast that's this big. A chicken breast is not supposed to be that big. It's become that big because of, growth hormones and all that stuff. And then finally, I'm pretty sure that injecting some water or something to that at some point. So the source of your food becomes important. So when you go to the supermarket, if you have a choice between vegetable and chicken, I would tend to favor the vegetable because I don't want the chicken at the supermarket. Now, if I have a vendor that is growing free-range chickens, who I know and trust is growing free-range chickens that are not fed growth hormones and stuff, then that's definitely a healthier alternative. So source of food intake becomes very important. Fish, the same thing. Farm-raised fish had the same exact problems. Wild-caught fish, much better, much healthier. So the sourcing of food is extremely important.
It sure is.
And in Louisiana, we're a big hunting community. We have a huge hunting culture, and that is something that people should definitely take advantage of. Catch your fish, in the wild. That is definitely much more healthy. The deer that you catch, again, there's a little caveat to that. Don't go feed your deer, the rice bran, the soy meal, and all the corn and all that stuff. Let them feed on, natural stuff, acorns or whatever's available. And, or you can feed them natural acorns and stuff and then harvest the deer that way. And that's, again, extremely healthy.
Definitely. Are there any other things that you notice that might be kind of under the radar, maybe things on labels that are hidden, or I don't know if that ties into?
Yeah, no. My general thing is if a food comes with a label, probably avoid it. Real food does not need a label. Real food does not need a label, and it most certainly does not sit on the shelf for more than a day. If something is on the shelf for more than a day, then that's no good. Food that we are supposed to consume necessarily should get spoiled after 24 hours. That is real food. The bread that sits on the supermarket shelf for 2 weeks, that's not real food. The McDonald's burger, and there's some internet, videos of this, right? People cleaning their closet or their pantry 10 years later, find a burger tucked in the corner there, and then it's still consumable. So food that does not spoil is not good food. It's something that we don't, you talk about concepts that fly under the radar. This is a big thing. So if it comes with a label, probably not good. If it can persist without any special storage requirements for more than 24 hours, not good. Interestingly, the bread that is actually okay to consume, you'll find it in the frozen section. Your Ezekiel bread, your pumpernickel bread, which don't have much of these preservatives and the ultra processing that happens with the regular bread, because you can't leave them outside. If you leave them outside, they're gone in 24 hours. You have to freeze them. And even if you put them in your refrigerator, you have to consume them in about a week. They got spoiled after a week in the regular refrigerator. If you want to keep them anything more than a week, you have to put them in the freezer, the Ezekiel bread and the pumpernickel bread.
Wow.
Yep.
Are there any other things, tips or tricks that might go under the radar that people should notice?
Yeah, like I said, pay attention to the source of your food. Pay attention to something very important. Even the vegetables that you buy, the fruits that you buy, get into the practice of washing them, particularly with baking soda, because there's a lot of sprays and chemicals that go on to these things to make them nice and shiny and colorful. You want to wash all them off, and that's something that people don't necessarily know or do. So you want to wash them, just water, running water or baking soda, wash those foods and preserve them. And get into the habit of grocery shopping at least once a week. Because if you're buying something and that is able to last, again, more than a week, that's probably not something that you want to consume. So regular grocery shopping, try to stay away from labels, food that doesn't perish in 24 hours, kind of things like that people don't necessarily and readily pay attention to.
You mentioned earlier on that waking up with the sun and watching the sunset, watching the sunrise, that's very important for you. What do things like sun exposure, how much can that benefit a person?
Yeah, great question. We could spend the next hour talking about sun exposure. But the thing is, earlier I mentioned how, your eyes open, your mind wakes up, and then the rest of your organs follow. But the cue to them is the sunlight that hits your eyes. And because your eyes are your window to your body, your windows to the external world. And when sunlight hits the eyes, the brain wakes up, the rest of your body slowly starts falling in place, and your gut generally takes about 2 hours to wake up. One of the things about sun exposure is And this also ties into the whole infrared and ultraviolet exposure. We are finding out that obviously ultraviolet, not good for you. Skin cancer, skin, whatever, all that stuff. Infrared tends to be good for you. So the 2 times of the day where you get maximum infrared exposure is sunrise and sunset. Right? That is also the time that is pretty much the only time when you can directly look at the sun without any shades or anything. Because once the half hour after sunrise and half an hour before sunset, everything else, especially midday, is ultraviolet exposure. And now you need all those SPFs, and which are not necessarily good for your skin either. So having that good sun exposure at sunrise and sunset not only wakes your organs up and tells them it's time to go to bed, but you also are getting this infrared radiation that is good for you. So that's the second thing. The third thing is this sun exposure helps you sleep. Again, we talked about the importance of sleep as a critical component of staying healthy. Everybody needs that 6 to 7 hours of sleep. If after sunset, if you can limit your screen time, that helps, because otherwise if you keep looking at your phone, not so much the TV, but more the phone, because the phone radiation is a little different from the TV radiation. The frames per second, they're different in the sense the TV doesn't affect you as much as the phone does. It still does. The TV does affect you, but not as much as your phone. And there's some interesting studies that looked into this. So having that phone exposure tells your brain that it's still daytime outside. Your brain does not know. Your internal organs do not know, other than the photons that are hitting your eyes. They don't know that the photons are coming from the sun or your phone. So a bright phone screen acts as a sun to your brain and your internal organs, and they're still awake. So just because you shut your phone off and shut your eye off, you're not going to fall asleep because you're internally still wired up. So you need to limit that screen exposure, get your sun exposure at sunset, and after that, everything's got to die down. That is what enables you to sleep. And with sleep is when your body recuperates, and sleep is also the time for your body to start healing from all the stresses that you've accumulated during the daytime. With sun exposure and sleep, it's also been shown to reduce mental depression. A lot of mental disorders are shown to be much less frequent in people who get adequate sleep and sun exposure. So it is that critically important, sun exposure at the right times and the right quantities. I'm not saying at 12 o'clock noon, go look at the sun. Don't hurt your eyes, but, sunrise and sunset.
That's such a crucial part into someone's overall health. I never realized that. Are there any other aspects that could fit in like that into someone's overall health that they might not realize?
Yeah. So several different things, right? So sun exposure is one. Second is ambient temperature. Your body needs to feel the heat and the cold. That doesn't mean you go out in 120 degrees weather and dehydrate yourself and get sunstroke and heat stroke, but you need that heat exposure. You need the cold exposure. Not saying you go out and get a frostbite, but you need that cold exposure. It is out of those natural concepts that we have these artificial things like cold plunges and, all those things. They're actually good for you, but what is better for you is actually getting that natural heat and cold exposures. Sun exposure also, by the way, I didn't touch upon this, is free vitamin D. Everybody is taking vitamin D these days, but it's free vitamin D. Your body knows, your skin knows how to manufacture vitamin D. You just need to give it the sun. Yep. So heat and cold exposure, feeling the natural weather is very important for your body. Thirdly, this concept of grounding. Walking barefoot on natural soil. Not in your home. Your home is not, natural. Your driveway is not natural. Even your lawn is not natural. You got to find, it's interesting that I actually try walking around my house trying to look for natural soil. There's not a whole lot of places where you can find natural soil. So walking barefoot on natural soil is extremely important to have that. The earth has a magnetic field. Not a whole lot of planets have this. Earth is unique in that it has this magnetosphere and this magnetic field that grounds your body. But you have to walk without any footwear on natural soil. I'm not saying walk barefoot all day and injure your feet, but walk on natural soil. Just a few minutes, that's all you need.
That's all we need, and that's called grounding, right? Wow, those are such big things. Are there anything else that can tie in?
Yeah, I mean, it's sun exposure, the heat and cold, grounding, and, sleep.
All so important for you that many might not realize.
Yeah, that a lot of us just don't realize that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all of these amazing insights with us.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity and, looking forward to many more.
Thank you. We definitely learned a lot.
We hope that this has empowered you on your health journey. If you have health concerns, visit cardio.com to learn more or request an appointment. Make sure to follow this podcast as well as CIS on social media for updates. Thanks for listening.